We can divide the body into two main cavities: the dorsal cavity that we have on the posterior or the back side of the body, and it includes our cranial cavity that houses the brain, and the spinal cavity, which surrounds and protects the spinal cord. And we also have the ventral cavity, which we find on the anterior or front side of the body. The ventral cavity, it is a little bit more complex because it's broken up into different regions, including the thoracic cavity, abdominal cavity, and pelvic cavity. But for today, I'm going to focus mainly on the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity because that is what connects us to the concepts of body membranes. So, what are body membranes? They are thin layers of tissue that cover surfaces, line body cavities, and help protect or lubricate organs. There are several different kinds of membranes, but the ones that we're going to talk about today are called the serous membranes. So, our serous membranes, they line closed cavities, meaning cavities that don't directly open to the outside of the body, like the thoracic and abdominal cavity. So not only do they line those cavities, but they also cover the organs within them. So the key feature of the serous membranes is that they are double layered. And what that means is that they have two layers with a really small space in between them. And in that space, they secrete serous fluid. This fluid is super important because it reduces friction caused by organ movement. Think about it. Your heart, it's constantly beating and your lungs are constantly expanding and contracting. And your abdominal organs, they are shifting as digestion happens. If there was no lubrication, all that movement would cause damage. So our serous membranes, they are named differently depending on what organ they surround. So we have the pleura, which surrounds the lungs, the pericardium that surrounds the heart, and the peritoneum, which surrounds the abdominal organs. And each of these membranes follows the same structural plan. They are double walled, meaning that they have two distinct layers. So the visceral layer, it is the one that lies directly against the organ itself. The word visceral, it comes from viscera, which means internal organs. So think of visceral as the layer that hugs the organ. The parietal layer, it is the one that lines the cavity wall. So it's always the layer farther away from the organs. So between the visceral and parietal layers is where we find the serous fluid. And that fluid is what keeps everything moving smoothly without friction. And just to keep it simple, remember that this same naming system is going to apply across the board. Whether we are talking about the pleura, the pericardium, or the peritoneum, it's always the visceral layer against the organ and the parietal layer lining the cavity and the fluid-filled space in between. Remember to like and follow for more science, and I'll see you next time.